All right, everybody should see that. All right, so today we are going to present the final presentation for the 2023 comprehensive plan docket. I'm just going to go ahead and give a brief overview of the amendments proposed, and then we'll move into the public hearing portion. So for a little bit of background on the process, this is the fourth time that you have seen this. It first started out in February, and then it got added to the docket officially on March 15th. On March 21st, City Council considered that PC recommendation at the public hearing and adopted 2023-03, which is the resolution for the comp plan docket this year. Back on June 26th, we had a work session, and then we took that to council on July 11th for a work session with them. And now we're back with Planning Commission for our public hearing. And so we are seeking your recommendation tonight before we move to the City Council public hearing. So as I said, our next step is going to be that City Council public hearing, which is going to be on September 26th. So we have four proposals tonight. The first one is going to be a text amendment. That's going to be for land use. And then we'll go ahead and get into our map amendments in a little bit. We have three of them, two of which are city initiated and one is a citizen initiated map amendment. For our first text amendment, this is just basically updates to the land use element. There's nothing earth-shattering or particularly interesting in here. Basically, we try to make it consistent with new data from the Snohomish County Local Lands Report, updated population and city land acreage statistics, since we had quite a few annexations in the past couple of years. So we ended up amending some of those statistical matrices in there. We also just updated some information about the Lake Stevens Industrial Center project, short-term rentals, and then SEPA documents are in the appendix. So our first map amendment is M1. This is a city-initiated map amendment. The property is located in the Cedarwood neighborhood, kind of amongst a multifamily development. 99th Avenue is directly to the west here. And the proposal is to rezone it from R8-12 to P/SP, which stands for public/semi-public. It's about a 1.5 acre parcel, and it currently has a kind of an older community center building the city has purchased with the intent to develop it into a usable community center and public park. So M2 is also a city-initiated map amendment. It's located at 9705 South Lake Stevens Road. It's right by Highway 9 on South Lake Stevens Road. Costco will be over here to the Albeit West. They are proposing a land use designation change from residential to commercial for the purpose of daycare, commercial daycare on that property is the owner's intent. And the property is about a 1/2 acre parcel. It's made up of technically two parcels, so we refer to it in the staff report as parcel. There's a very, very small parcel that's probably an artifact. And then finally, we have the last map amendment, which is M3. This one is going to be a citizen initiated map amendment. The proposal is to go from mixed use to R8-12 or high density residential land designation. It's located at 10311 Lending Parkway. The site is about 5.24 acres in total, based on the data that we have available in our the 2021 Local Lands Report. About 0.82, I believe, acres are actually developable. So a lot of this is covered by critical areas that would probably become an NGPA. So a little bit about the process and public notice. The Planning Commission recommended ratification of the docket back in March 2023, I should say. Staff subsequently sent that 60-day notice to Commerce and issued the SEPA addenda and adoption of the existing environmental documents on September 23rd. And then public notice was issued on August 23rd of this month. We are required to issue it 10 days in advance and have to run the paper twice. And 2 public comments were received during that comment period so far. And I'll go over those in just a bit. So this one is attached as Exhibit 9 in your packet. It was received just before the packet went out, actually. This person expressed opposition to map amendment M3 and indicated preference for preserving the area's open space instead of as R8-12. We responded that the development is consistent with the R8-12 zone, and it's actually less intensive than that mixed-use study district designation that it originally had. Any critical areas that are found on the property through a critical areas report would also be required to be put into an NGPA consistent with 1488 of our municipal code. We also received a comment this morning. This one should have been sent out to you today as well. This one is regarding the Cedarwood rezone. This person expressed support of the rezone from R8-12 to public / semi-public, and their concerns mainly focused around Stitch Creek, and they encouraged the city, Fish and Wildlife, and the Cedarwood apartments to kind of coordinate the improvements for the Cedarwood parcel with any improvements that Fish and Wildlife might propose for fish possibility in the future. So finally, we'll get on to findings and our staff recommendation. So as in the staff report, the proposal meets the criteria that's required in our code. The staff report does have more information about that. I can go through all of it right now. And staff does recommend that the Planning Commission forward their recommendation on the City Council for approval of the 2023 Comprehensive Plan docket. And the Planning Commission may also incorporate some requested changes if there are any focus recommendation. So lastly, are there any questions for staff before we move on to the public hearing portion?
Can I just add one small correction? Your motion tonight would be on the comprehensive plan docket as well as the concurrent. So that should be the report recommendation for this.
It looks like you provided a potential motion. Should we choose to do that direction in that package? Just helpful.
Page 7 package.
Yeah.
What page?
It is page 10 of 84. Is that what you're using? Oh, page 7.
Yes.
And questions for staff, is there anybody that is joining us as a public comment yet? As guests, do we have guests tonight? Just making sure that we.
You did. We do have Kim online, Kim Colgrove. And she might want to testify for the hearing, but it might be guest business if you want to ask her.
Let's find out. We're going to come back to guest business after here.
Okay.
So were there any questions before we move to the hearing? Okay. With that, let's open the public hearing. We have a motion to open here. Or just close it?
Let's move forward to testing.
So seeing no one in the audience tonight, is there anybody online who wants to speak to item 5A comprehensive plan docket?
Oh, great.
You just state your name and residence.
Or raise your hand so that Jenny.
Yeah.
Oh.
She's not indicating she wants to say anything.
Okay. So with that, I think we close the public hearing portion. Do we need a motion for that?
I'll second.
All in favor of closing the public hearing? Aye. Aye. So moved. Let's move on to discussions of this item. Once the commission. Is there anything, any other questions or any topics that anybody wants to cover?
I just have one quick comment because I think it's great that you, as a staff, responded so quickly to the citizen comment about the concern about density in critical areas. It's so great when somebody takes the time to reach out like that. for them to get a substantive response quickly, so that, I think you answered the question. I appreciate that.
We've seen this now several times, and I would agree with Commissioner Jennifer Davis that the response back, I think, is appropriate. I also would urge anybody that's watching any of the rezones that are going on in Lake Stevens to know that we're being pressed from Olympia to do, in lack of a better way to put it, even worse. So I think that there's some pullback here that you wouldn't see in other cities. You're not seeing in other cities. And as distasteful as it might be to residents that are already existing here, the best is being done on their behalf with what's going in next to them.
Other comment? Can I ask a question? I know that at least, can you go back to the M2 map?
For sure.
I guess the question I have is, yeah, all of that stuff is listed as commercial, but looking at the map, it doesn't appear to actually be commercial. Like it seems, I mean, if I look on Google Maps, right, all that red region, looks like there are homes there. So just help me with, yeah, how it's listed as commercial, but they're actually residential homes. Because the rationale is, oh, these are also commercial, so let's make this commercial.
Right, and this was approved as part of a rezone back in late 2019, I believe.
Okay.
Russ, is that
Yes, that's.
correct? And the land use, the actual land use that's on the land just hasn't caught up yet.
Okay, the intent is for that to go to commercial.
Correct.
So it could not be resold for commercial, for residential. I mean, what prevents it from staying residential?
So we do have our non-conforming section of the code, which kind of governs what can stay and what can go. But generally, any new development on these properties would have to be commercial.
But just to clarify, a current homeowner could sell their home to another
Correct.
person as a home,
Yes.
residential purpose. It's just a certain percentage of it is going to be changed then.
And there is some history here. So it was zoned one way, but chosen to go to a different way. We brought it back to with council to where it is now, but the people that purchased now bought it, it was in this past space. So there's been some history going on there.
Yeah, I guess going in as daycare is different than somebody wanting to open a restaurant or a store, right? That would not seem to fit in with what's around there currently. A daycare I see is being very benign. Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments?
In that case, is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Ones,
What's that?
make approve.
Yes, motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion to approve as.
As stated, as written.
There
As
it
written.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'll second.
okay, we have a motion to approve the text amendment, map amendment, and current rezones as proposed.
And I second.
Okay. All those in favor?
I.
So moved. Stepping back on the agenda briefly, was there any guest business to come before the planning commission tonight?
Kim just made a comment that she was listening to the M1 thing. She doesn't have anything that she wants to say.
In that case, we'll move past 5A over to 6, commissioners report. This section, I'll remind commissioners, is solely for items germane to the work of the planning commission. And with that, Dennis, do you have any comments?
I would, just again, keeping things pertaining to planning commission in the city, I would ask anybody that has already commented or is thinking about commenting, that there is another opportunity to do so when this comes before city council. So we are merely making our recommendation that they consider this again, and that would be your opportunity to do so. I appreciate when people reach out, either in person or online or in writing. And so for the two that already have, and for others who want to, please, we have electeds and appointeds that are representing you, reach out to them and they come to the meeting. if you can. Thank you.
Commissioner Morgan? No. Well,
First day of school here at North Lake, or sorry, well, at North Lake Middle School and around Lake Stevens. It was awesome to have a new crop of 6th grade students come in, including my son. We've got Bruce's daughter, Elise, in 7th grade, at her last year. So it's awesome to get the school year started. So kind of on that note, we have a growing running program in Lake Stevens. As you guys know, there are 340, 350 kids on the track team. We have 40 plus kids who are going to be running across the country. A major, something I brought up time and time again is just, safety for pedestrians, running through Lake Stevens, being on a bike at Lake Stevens, especially where we moved. This is not a city where I think people really understand basic traffic safety. They do not appeal to pedestrians. And it's like, I mean, honestly, we can kind of joke about it, but when I'm running with a group of kids and I see people who have no care, they will go right through an intersection and yell at us as if we're doing something incorrectly. But we go right through downtown here, and there is a crosswalk. The crosswalk is like, white stripes are supposed to be there. I'd say half of those white stripes aren't even, you can't even really see. I took a picture sort of just crossing over. So I'd like to see what the city is going to do to improve crosswalks, to make crosswalks more identifiable for motorists. It's something that is really bad all over the city. There is now a disconnect between the west side of the city across 9. Nobody is going to, there are crosswalks through those roundabouts. I would not suggest anybody who try to walk through those crosswalks. So there's, this is becoming increasingly an unsafe place for pedestrians and cyclists. So to really figure out a plan moving forward to improve these crosswalks, or to educate people, to put in more flashers at intersections. There's got to be a compromise so that we can increase safety for pedestrians and cyclists all over Lake Stevens. The one other is really a question that is something mainly for you, Russ, is the lot here in North Cove that's the homeless that is put up on the market. I know the city had inquired years ago trying to purchase those 3 lots. These are opportunities that come up, every 10, 15, 20 years. If there's anything that is readily, is apparent, there is not enough waterfront access for the average person in Lake Stevens. The lake doesn't have, there is no direct benefit for residents of Lake Stevens for the lake. The lake is 99.9% privatized. And there's nearly enough lakefront access to meet the growing population that we have in Lake Stevens. So is the city looking at all into that parcel or growing the amount of accessibility around it?
So yes, we are aware of that parcel. Really can't comment much more than that, and we do look for opportunities to expand our shoreline access or improving existing shoreline access.
Wow, that next park, it's right next to the park. Adjacent. Yes, exactly. Yeah. A wonderful investment.
I would agree.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
And that is,
For me, commission report. Take us to item 7, planning director report. Speakers and topics.
I don't really have anything prepared. I will entertain additional questions if you have any on city business. And before that, though, I'll turn it over to our clerk, Finrich, who will give you our next date meeting date.
All right, we are scheduled for the 20th of September. And then I think our last email said that one in each additional month at this point. So October 4th, November 1st, and December 6th.
Can you repeat those dates?
Absolutely. October
September
20th,
20th.
mhm, October 4th, November 1st, December 6th.
And we are gonna get confirmation on our whole day training for the 18th, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, if there's nothing else from director report. We'll move on to item 8, adjourn, and put your motion on that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So move. That's the vote.
Oh.
Thank you all for coming in tonight. It was a quick meeting, so thank you for the.